obviously the jumping. These jumps are huge. We will walk up close to them, and your palms will sweat and your knees will knock at the thought of galloping up to those on a horse. First of all, it is situated on an uphill slope. Course designers love that. Why? Because it helps horses stay in balance. It puts their weight more back into their hindquarters. They jump with their hindquarters. Secondly, it has a very sloping face. That means that your horse can be running away with you, overly exuberant, full of energy, not really paying attention, step much too close to the jump, but still has a little bit of extra time to get his knees out of the way before he has to reach the top rail there. The rules are the maximum height of the solid obstacle is 3'11". That's the maximum spread at the base can be 9'9". The maximum spread at the top is 6'6". Now there's a downhill slope. To rub your nose in that a little bit, you notice this does not have much of what horsemen call a ground line, meaning that the base of the fence is almost in a vertical plane. Horses, to some degree, jump one way or another. It has to do, if the horse is a little bit right-handed, he will push slightly more with his right hind leg than his left, and that will cause him to drift. Here, the course designer has reversed that. He has constructed something that can help you. For example, if your horse has a tendency to jump to the left slightly, the right, because if he jumps and he comes and leaves, he's coming back to the second element. The problem here is obvious. The problem is that you're going to approach a jump on an angle, and what you have to imagine is that there is a straight line through here, and you tell yourself, my horse and I are straight. It is the jumps that are crooked. This is the first really serious jump on the course. This is now 4-star. First of all, it comes as a bit of a surprise to the horse. They come around that turn, and they're looking across at the tent. They're spooking from you guys in the bleachers there, and all of a sudden they get right here and they go, wow, wow. And so they're going to change their stride. They're going to change their mind a little bit. The drop is pretty much maximum. The maximum allowed drop at 4-star is 6'6". They will jump, and because of the configuration here, they're going to jump, and the riders have to be a little sophisticated because the horses in the air are going to go, cool, I could land on dry land, but they're going to reach a little bit to get their forehand back down here. If you are a little bit in front of the motion, that can feel to the rider as if the horse stepped in a hole, and you get catapulted out of the saddle so quickly you cannot believe it. The crowd loves it. You go home. There is not much time to react. You must land in balance. You must put the horse back online. You have probably 3 strides. It's about 45 to 48 feet in there. They're going to land down a maximum drop, and 3 strides later, they have to have turned about 45 degrees and jump. Duck is about 3'10". That duck is this high in the middle. It's quite big. And so there's a lot happening very quickly over very big jump. They will then take 3 strides, they jump B, they have to make another 45-degree angle, and that is 4 strides up and out. That looks like a house. When you are standing down at the edge of the water and looking up to that, it looks enormous. It is enormous, but it's not as enormous as it looks. Then the course gallops straight along, slightly downhill. Then just past the Bridgestone sign, you see the terrain rises. For me, that is a very meaningful, interesting part of the course, because from the water, If I am clean and fast so far, I'm going to increase my speed. I'm going to lengthen my stride all the way from the water jump. And I'm going to be bent over on short reins. I'm not going to be chasing the horse, but I'm going to let Mother Nature pull my horse's stride out. I'll stay up off his back. I'll stay behind the center of rotation of his shoulders. And that is not totally free, but it's quite free. Now, I can afford to do that because you look at the terrain now there at the Bridgestone side, the terrain turns up. Well, I love galloping up into terrain because that will support my half halt. And the course designer is going to help you. How is he going to help you? He has built that jump at the apex of a 90-degree turn. When you turn a horse, you shorten his stride because you close off his inside shoulder. If you bend a horse to the left, the shoulder now starts to act like this rather than like that. If you look at the racehorse jockeys, they want to go through the turn with the horse's neck bent away slightly because it opens up the inside shoulder. Number 7, again a sharp right hand turn. They come down the hill. They jump these two cabins here. Visually, they are a little bit surprising. They have a slight L shape right here at the white flag of 8A. There is a very narrow sort of leg on there. It's only about 6 feet in width, and you must aim for that. They land down the slope through the hollow back up, and now the narrow part is against the red flag. So that's nice because it checks your horse's courage and straightness over both shoulders. They come around the corner. You can see at 10, the jump is a bit narrow. Narrow jumps typically make the horse and rider slow down slightly in order to make sure they are accurate. This is a test of balance and agility. It is, again, quite a test of courage because the ground drops away markedly. That is the most difficult of all of the jumps, that the horse jumps with their balance in one level, but lands with their balance down in another level. There is really only room for one stride between 10 and 11A. There is quite a ditch at the bottom of the swale there, and then one stride back up to an extremely narrow hedge at 11B. And they will enter over there at the far road. That's 15A. That's quite a big road. 5 strides straight ahead, you see that there is an angle here. They must jump that, then turn back to the right, then jump that, and then they must turn back again to jump this corner in the water. The interesting part about this is that's quite a big drop back into water. That is a very narrow opening. You see, they must either choose the brave route, which goes right up next to that unmarked bank and jumps out over a hedge that's only about 4 feet high. It is as wide as it is high. This is difficult for many reasons. First of all, just the pure size of the obstacles. Secondly, the precision required of both direction and striding. You must know how many strides your horse should take. You must also be able to point him exactly where he needs to go. So there is that. There is also, and this is quite subtle, horses many times are surprised when they are asked to jump back into water. I told my riders, I want you to approach on a tiny bit of an angle here so the horse senses that there are more obstacles in their path. These horses have jump combinations before. They've jumped big drops into water. They've dealt with narrow obstacles on the way out. They haven't jumped this, but they can do this if they see what it is that we want them to do.